Awesome. So this is session 4 out of 22 masterclasses that we're doing to create impact for the international student community, sponsored by Study New South Wales. So today's topic, as I just briefly mentioned, is about how do you identify stress and reduce it, combat it, and destroy it. So today's session is done through Zoom, Facebook, but also we are recording and putting it onto YouTube. So turn on your camera, ask us questions, engage with us because we're here to empower you. And we're here to share with you guys that everything that we've been talking about. Last week we spoke about motivation. Today we're speaking about stress. It's normal. Don't feel like you're alone. Join these sessions and we're going to be teaching some techniques and tricks that experts like Ush have used to help us be better entrepreneurs, better students, better citizens in society. So don't feel stressed for being stressed. It is normal to feel stressed, and this is why coaches like Ush exist into our life. So for those of you that haven't connected with us yet, please connect us with Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and everywhere. The Academy of Entrepreneurs, Ush, and OSA Study New South Wales, because the three of us are always looking as organizations at ways that we can contribute in making your life happier, healthier, and less stressful. So Ush is the VIP speaker of today. She is an incredible entrepreneur and expert. Everything she does so well because she's really passionate about creating a positive impact through coaching. So we've done 3 other sessions with Ush, and today's one is on stress. So if you've missed the other ones, go over to our YouTube page and you can watch it. So over to you, the boss. Let me know. I'm going to mute myself.
Thank
and then
you.
I'll let you know. Just let me know when you need me to click, and then I'll go over to the next slide.
Amazing. So I'll do a little bit of an intro, and we are going to talk a little bit about stress and also how to identify it in the ways that it comes up in our life. But I also want to focus this session on resilience, because I find that the more resilience we build, as Paula said, stress is going to come in and out of our lives. So if we are more emotionally resilient, then we will really be able to manage the day-to-day stress that comes. Also, a couple of things about stress is stress has a negative connotation. So, you hear the word stress and you automatically link it to words like depression, anxiety, all negative emotions. But I find that sometimes stress can also be healthy in a good way. And I want to, bust that myth that stress equals bad and negative emotions, because that's not always the case. And I'll give you an example how stress can be healthy. So I know, like, when I'm presenting like this or I've got certain deadlines, there's a healthy level of stress that comes in terms of preparing for it, getting things ready. Believe it or not, I sent the presentation to Kiara last night for this session. So that was like healthy stress. So stress is good. And there's also healthy stress when we're also excited about new things happening in our life. So a new job, a new opportunity. Gustavo, like what you were just saying now, like it's a form of excitement and healthy stress. And something that I always teach as well from an EQ point of view is understanding how your emotions make you feel in your body. So if you notice, when you are happy, excited about something versus when you are nervous about something, if you take away those 2 words, the actual feeling in your body is the same, right? So when you're nervous or excited, you'll get what? Butterflies in your stomach, right? Your heart may race, may get sweaty, you may get a little bit flustered. You in your mind are choosing which way to go. You can say to yourself, I'm really scared right now and I'm fearful, and you can use words like I'm anxious, I'm stressed. Or you can say to yourself and your body, I feel so excited. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of unknown, but I'm really excited for this opportunity. And just by reframing what's going on for you, you will automatically start to feel better. And it's a really cool hack for your brain. So, just one quick thing to say off the bat is when next time you do feel stress, reframe your inner words, reframe all of the words that your mind is saying to you and trying to trick you, and change it. Say, I'm really excited. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of unknown here. but I am so excited for what's happening. And you can't help but smile when you say that, as opposed to when you say the words like, I feel really stressed, I'm anxious, and automatically you feel heavy. Yeah. So a lot of what we say impacts how stressed we feel. Yeah. The other thing to mention as well before we move on into the resilience piece is, sometimes when we feel stress, we can go down into this rabbit hole and we feel sometimes what I call victim mentality. So, what that means is you will always feel that something bad is happening to you, Oh, it always happens to me. Anne Marie, it's going to be about 45 minutes. Um, you might say to yourself, it's always me, it always happens to me. It doesn't happen to other people. And, that victim mentality means that your stream of consciousness inside your head and verbally is always negative. So the more negative the words are, the more stress you're going to feel. Yeah. So just start reframing, rewiring, and shifting some of the words that you feel. And the third thing to say before we go into the resilience piece is going to be learn to know how you respond to stress. Okay. It's really important to learn to how you respond to stress. So everyone has different ways. So, do you sleep a lot? Do you not sleep? Do you eat a lot? Do you not eat? Unfortunately, I'm an emotional eater. I wish I wasn't. Do you not work out or do you walk a lot? Like, what sort of stuff, do you do when you're feeling stressed? And the reason I say that is that we, on autopilot, do certain things, but we don't know why we do them, right? So if you can identify and list on a piece of paper all of your stressful things that you do, and then next to it, write down what it feels like in your body. The next time you feel stressed, before your mind even says, I feel stressed, your body will pick up on the clues. Yeah. So the quicker that you feel those clues, the quicker you can manage stress. Okay, so it's really important to identify what you do, how you feel, and what it feels like in your body. Okay, thanks, Paula. We'll go to the next slide. We'll go to the next slide again because I've literally just covered all that. So let's have a look at the definition, yeah? So I always like this definition that stress actually isn't about the situation you're in, but it's about your response to that situation, yeah? Have you ever noticed that why you look at someone and go, wow, they're like speaking on stage and they're not stressed by that. Like they're just really cool. They can do keynotes in front of like 1,000 people. They're amazing. And why do I feel really stressed out in that same situation? So what that means is it's not the situation of, for example, public speaking in front of 2,000 people in a hall that it's stressful, but it's how you feel and respond to the situation. And whenever I do feel really stressed, I always remind myself of this because I go, okay, take the situation out of it, no matter how much stress that's causing me, and just go back to how am I feeling? How am I responding to this? And once I take away the situation, I automatically start to calm down. And I was reading a post about this lady, and she was talking about this just last night on Facebook, and she's in New York, and she runs a big media PR company, and the night before she was sleeping and she had a panic attack out of the blue. She's spoken in public heaps of times. It wasn't anything new, but something in her caused her nervous system to have a panic attack. So she literally was like going through all of those thoughts that I said earlier about your inner critic, right? Of, oh my God, there's going to be like 10,000 people. It's a face to face. It's a 2-day event. I don't know what I'm going to do. Everything's going to go and, blow up and it's going to be all bad. What she did is she just goes, right, forget the fact that there's an event and let me look at my body and my feelings and let me look at how I feel. And the moment she did that, within 2 hours, she was able to calm herself down. And she said the event happened even better than she thought it was going to go. So she was really able to calm herself down in that situation. So take away what it is that's causing you stress and focus on how you're feeling. Also, as it says there, is your response is your physiological and psychological response to the situation. So what that means is your mind will tell you something about the situation, and your body will tell you something about the situation too. Yeah. So just think about what it is. What are your words saying, and what is your body feeling about stress? And then the consequent impact that has on your emotional, mental, and physical state, as well as macro factors such as your work, people, and things. So it all impacts everything around you. But you just got to take a step back and go, what is the situation and how am I feeling? Um, so understanding your stress patterns, I touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but a little bit here to explain is, first of all, identify what's causing you stress. Okay? So is it a person? Is it a situation? Is it a task? Or is it actually a past or future thought? They're actually the only things that can cause you stress. Like, we always go, oh, stress, and it feels like this big mountain or the universe, right? Like, it's so like open. It's like, what the hell is stress? Like, what are you stressed about? And people go, I don't know, I'm just stressed. Like, I hear that all the time when I talk, like, what are you stressed about? So if you can, put your stress into one of these buckets. Yeah. And then you can actually clearly go, right, I know that it's actually Paula that's causing me stress. Or I know it's the presentation tonight that's causing me stress. Or it's the fact that I messed up last time that's causing me stress, right? So just get really laser focused on what it is. As I mentioned, what are your symptoms? Okay. What are the emotions that you're feeling? What are your behaviors? And what are the physical signs? Again, those three things. Write it down on a piece of paper, what it is that's causing those symptoms and what are those symptoms. And then I want you to get into sort of creative mode to go, what are going to be strategies for recovery? When I'm coaching people on stress, I find that their mode is, I'm stressed, they throw their hands up in the air and the world's ending. But it's really hard to get into solution mode when you feel stressed, because your default, depending on how you are or how resilient you are, is to quit. Yeah, it's to go, I'll stuff it. I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to unpack my bags here and just wait for like divine intervention to clear my stress. It ain't going to happen, right? You've got to work out on what your strategy for recovery is. So think about what it is that's going to help you. And it could be a range of things. Is it just ringing someone and talking through? That works for me a lot. It's sort of my go-to is I'll ring my best mate and I'll go, right, this is the stuff that's on my head. This is what's causing me stress. Let's talk it through in 10, 15 minutes. And I feel better. And sometimes I don't need advice. I just want to be heard. Yeah. So I don't necessarily want someone to tell me what to do. Another strategy that works is journaling. Yeah. So just getting your thoughts down on paper. Eating. Whatever works for you. Exercising. Mindfulness, meditation. I have a friend who like puts on really happy music and dances around her apartment. Like that's her sort of go-to stress relief, and that raises her vibration. I have someone else that walks barefoot on grass, yeah, around their home. So whatever strategy that you've got, and if you don't know what your strategy is, go experiment. Like go try different things and see what works for you. How does that help you? Is it reading a book for a bit of a quiet period? Is it going to have a bath? Like, what is it for you that works? So a couple of things to talk about is, I've already mentioned that what is your sort of go-to feeling, right, when you feel stressed? And sometimes that's hard to know. So what I've tried to do here for you guys is break it up into 4 areas, okay? Your body, your mind, your emotions, and your behavior. So sort of the go-to things that you might have, and they're not for everyone, and you might have more or less, but just to help you start thinking. In your body, you might feel tired, right, when you feel stressed, which means that you want to sleep more. Potentially headaches, that's a really big thing for stress. Tight muscles, muscle aches, skin irritations. I have someone that gets eczema all the time when they feel stressed. It's like sort of their default response. Frequent infections and not feeling well, so getting colds and things like that when you're stressed. And also your breathing can be quite constricted too. So like I said, they're just some suggestions and some things that I know when I've coached that I've come across. So just write them down. So if you can, write down something that you feel for all four. Yeah. And what this is doing, it's raising your self awareness of your own stress. Then you've got the impact of the mind. So you might be worrying about things when you feel stress. Yeah. The other one is actually indecision. So I have people go, oh my God, when I'm stressed, I can't make a decision on something. And that could be something as simple as what to make for dinner that night, or it could be something as big as, delivering on a project. Yeah. And what that's doing is that your mind is just not clear and able to process things. Negativity is a big one. Like I said at the beginning of this presentation, we all associate stress with negativity. Foggy thinking, so it just means that you haven't got that clarity of thought. Hasty decisions. I don't know if that anyone else has experienced that, but sometimes the opposite of indecision is people make really quick decisions without thinking them through under stress and pressure. And then the other one is impaired judgment. So they're not able to really think clearly about what to do in that situation. So, a good example of that is you might, go off the handle if you've got some negative feedback coming your way through work, or, one of your staff members has annoyed you, you'll just react in a negative way. If we then look at the behavior side of stress, you can potentially have substance abuse, drinking too much, all of that side of things. Loss of appetite or overeating could be one. Accident prone actually is another one for a stress thing from a neurological point of view, is just you're just clumsy. Restlessness is a big one as well, where you can't sleep, you just feel agitated, you feel like you're walking on eggshells quite a fair bit. Sometimes you might experience loneliness and stress, and the reason for that is a lot of the time when you're stressed, you tend to withdraw. Yeah, so you don't really want to deal with things, you don't want to talk to people. That can create loneliness. And then insomnia is a pretty big one as well, because you've got the monkey mind and you've got racing thoughts that potentially happen at night. And then you've got the emotional side of stress. So this can be where you'll start to lack confidence, you doubt how good you are. And this is where all that stuff like imposter syndrome comes in, and, fears around what you're doing, around how good you are and how capable you are. You might also feel apprehension. Indifference is a really interesting one. I've coached and I've noticed that people feel really indifferent sometimes. Um, Sorry, my dog's going a bit crazy. Where they feel a bit indifferent, and they just don't care and they don't want to make a decision. The other one is around depression. Like I said earlier, that you've got instances of depression and anxiety to do with stress. And then you've got irritability as well, and also insomnia. And I'm trying not to get stressed because my puppy's going psycho behind me. So
I think your dog is stressed.
my dog is playing. It's actually quite happy. So there you go. It sounds like she's stressed, but she's not. She's just really playful. Resilience. So let's talk about the resilience side of what we can do when we feel stress, yeah? So resilience means the capacity to really recover quickly from difficulties and build that sort of mental toughness, yeah? Resilience is also about behaviors that you form and how you protect yourself from the negative effects of feeling stress. It's really that ability to pick yourself up, bounce back from adversity, and really not, like I use that phrase, unpack your bags and stay in that negative space when you feel stressed. Yeah. And resilience is all about thriving. So, how do you, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally, and also spiritually thrive? Like what it is that you do in those different areas of your life to make you feel better in your environment. And I like putting those four down because I don't know about you guys, but when I feel stressed, I have certain go-to things that I do. So sometimes I'm like, if I'm feeling stressed from a mental point of view, I like to read something that's non-work related. Yeah, so it mentally helps my mind. Or in the physical boat, I might go, I'm going to go for a walk. Yeah, and exercise or do something. Emotionally, for me, might be having a bath, might be listening to some music. And then spiritually, might be just to meditate. So when you're looking at resilience, think about the 4 different areas and go, what it is that I can do in each of those areas. My dog is going like, give me 1 second.
I'll share with you guys a technique that I learned from Carrie Phipps, who's a dear friend that is an expert in coaching for stress. And she told me the post-it technique. So when you've got something to do, you put it on post-its, and then it helps you organize your life. And you can do the same with stress. So depending on the size of the problem, put it on a post-it and post it in different colors. And you just go, I'm acknowledging that I feel stressed because of this, but now is not the time to deal with it. And then I'll deal with it at the right time. So say, for example, you're going for an investor pitch session, you've got the best investor ever wanting to hear your idea, and then you see that, I don't know, a tree fell over your car. Yes, it is stressful, but now is not the time to deal with a car. It might be more effective that you go and pitch to the investor. So you put it on the post-it physically or mentally. With time, you start doing it mentally, and then you just deal with it when it's the right time to deal. Because stress is important. It keeps us alive. Depending on the level of stress, you're running from a lion or the fire. But many times we're stressing, we're overstressing, or we're stressing at the wrong time, which prevents us from winning in that one moment that we're in. This is a technique that I've learned, and initially I should carry the post-its because I'm dealing with problems all day long, but now I've just used mental post-its and it seems to work really well. Over to you, Ush.
Thank you. I have to get my daughter to come in and save the day. She's going to bark there. You might need to just go out. Thank you. We'll go to the next slide. So when you build your resilience, basically what that means is that you're more able to handle stress, like I was when my dog went psycho just now in like a live presentation and not panicking. But it's also effectively utilizing change and creating solutions in that moment. I also like to say that it's about, managing your energy and riding the waves. So, a really important thing about stress is that stress, you're not going to be in that state of stress forever. Yeah. And sometimes when we're in it, we feel like it's going to be like that all the time, but it's not. And it is a case of riding that wave to go, all right, whatever it is that I'm feeling, whatever stress that I'm feeling, I'm just going to ride it through. And I'm actually then going to wait for that to go and I will be okay. And when I'm calmer again, that's when I'm going to start looking at some strategies. I'm going to look at and do a bit of self-reflection on what caused that stress. And then you bounce back. Yeah. So resilience really is about pausing. I like to call it pause or rest, and then go right in that rest period, analyzing what's happening and then bouncing back. I think society always tells us to get straight back up, fight, there's all of that pressure sometimes to not feel stress and not have some downtime and just constantly go, go, go. And we glorify busy. But I'm a big believer that to really build your emotional resilience, you sometimes need that break to go, right, I just need some space right now to think about what it is that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to bounce back. But at the moment, I don't really want to bounce back. And it's okay not to want to bounce back at that moment in time. Yeah. And then when you do bounce back, you're going to feel even stronger. So have that time to rest and do a little bit of self-reflection. So I did do this in one of the other sessions, but I want to recap it again in case anyone hasn't seen the other sessions and they only watch this one, because it is such an important tool that really, really helps you when you're feeling stressed. Because what happens is when we are stressed, we have something called the inner critic. And the inner critic is all of those words that our mind and our body and our thoughts and emotions are telling us in that situation when we feel stressed. And what we want to do is we want to flip it and turn it into an inner coach, like these words. And we want to get more accurate thinking about the situation that you're in, yeah, which will ultimately result in more personal resilience. So to shift your state into the right state, 6 questions, I'll quickly run through them. The first one is identify what is the worst thing that can happen to you. So really get clear and articulate what actually that is, because sometimes our mind will constantly go over and over and over what it is that's the worst thing. But until we actually get it down and we talk about it, yeah, it's going to start playing and we'll just procrastinate. So identify what that is. Second one is assess the probability of that worst case actually happening to you in your life. Scale of 1 to 10 or a percentage between 0 and 100. And be really clear with, is it going to happen or is it not? Or is your mind just playing your tricks? Third one is identify what is the one thing you can do to stop that worst thing from happening. And then talk about what is the best thing that can happen. So flip it and get into solution mode straight away. And then you ask yourself to take action, obviously. What is that one thing you can do to make the best thing happen? So, what action can you take to get that best outcome? And then to keep it in the reality mode is what is the most likely thing that's going to happen? Yeah. So then you go back into that reality mode. And this tool is fascinating. It works. It's so simple, but it's such a good brain hack. It will prevent you from your nervous system going into overdrive, and it will, that's why I call it the perspective tool, because it just works and it gives you perspective. And then I just want to share with you quickly around the 4 pillars to build resilience. Like everyone says to me, you know, well, how do I build resilience? Where do I start? And it's not so easy to do. So building resilience really means looking after certain areas in your life. Sleep is definitely one of them. The more sleep we can get, the better we're going to feel. Easier said than done, I get it. Nourishment is also really important, as is your fitness, as is your social well-being, which is that connectedness piece. Yeah. So if we just go to the next slide, I'll share a little bit about how this works. So what I want you to do is around this 4 thing that we got is map out between 1 to 10 in each of those areas. Yeah. And really talk about where your scores are. Where are your high scores? Where are your low scores? And then actually share that with someone and go, look, for me, my nourishment is really good and I'm able to eat well. I'm able to cook some meals. I can do that. But you know what? My sleep is really poor. I'm only getting 2 to 3 hours a night. And do a bit of a sanity check around on those 4 things. What does that look like? And then what you do is you pick one thing to change in that space. Yeah. So if your sleep is the one that's causing you the most stress and you've got the lowest score, identify what it is that you're going to do. Are you going to speak to someone about that? Are you going to speak to a professional? Are you going to have better sleep hygiene? Are you going to, you know, journal at night? Are you going to switch the TV off early and reduce your blue light intake? But what is that one habit or pattern that you can put in place that's going to do your lowest score? I find if we look at this holistically and we go, right, I want to fix my nutrition, I want to fix my sleep, I want to fix my fitness, we end up doing nothing, right? Because we're in that mode of stress. So I always say to people, map out one in area, and not one in each one, just one out of the 4, and work on that for a period of 2 weeks. Yeah. Build that habit up and then go, right now, what am I going to do? So you might want to work on your sleep first if that's your lowest score. And then you go, what was my next lowest score? And it might be nutrition. And you go, right, okay, I've got my sleep sorted. Now I'm going to work on my food, and maybe 3 nights a week, I'm going to make sure I cook and eat something healthy. Yeah. So increment these small changes, because otherwise, when we're in that moment of stress, we end up doing nothing and we're not able to build our resilience. And then a couple of key points as well. So do keep your eye on the bigger picture, even in challenging situations. And the reason I say that is when we are feeling stressed, we magnify the negative situations and we lose sight of the good. Yeah, it's just our default to go, oh my God, this is really bad. This is really bad. This is really bad. But we're actually, when we take a step back and we don't magnify the bad, things are actually pretty good. Yeah, but we just need to remind ourselves of that. Second one is know your priorities and then start taking action to achieve them. So for me, that's that 4 cross thing that I just showed you, those 4 areas. Know what you're going to prioritize and know exactly what action you're going to take. Like actually say and commit to doing 1, 2, 3 and then tell someone so that you're held accountable. Ask yourself what skills you have to help you relax and manage stress through self-care. I think we sometimes forget that it's the simple things that can make a difference. It can be watching our favorite movie, it could be having a long bath, it can be going for a walk. We sometimes do forget the basics of self-care when we're in stress. So it's a case of just reminding ourselves what it is we can do. And then also trying to keep that positive thrive mindset during difficult situations. So again, that's keeping your inner critic in check. Yeah. And looking at the good in stressful times. What is it teaching you? What is this stressful moment teaching you? What is it protecting you from? Yeah. One of my favorite sayings is rejection is redirection. And when I learned that, I was like, wow, okay, bring on rejection. Like, I'm really cool with it because it's just redirecting me into something totally better or different or something that's going to challenge me even more. And when I learned that phrase about, rejection is redirection, I never felt bad about anything that I was rejected in. Like, it's a bit of a game changer, that phrase. And then it's really important to have a thrive tribe. So someone that you can talk to, a network of people that you can connect with when you're feeling low, because as humans, we can tend to socially isolate, especially with everything that's going on in the world with COVID right now as well. So just make sure that you have someone in your corner that you can talk to when needed. And if you don't, that's okay too. And journal. Do something that you can just get your thoughts out on paper, because it's really important to get it out of your head and onto paper.
Thank you, Ush. Thank you for sharing all of these techniques. Now we can take questions, or you guys can all share your experiences. I know Rudy has gone through a very stressful week pitching at one of the biggest competitions in the world. Gustavo, do you want to share your experience? What's stressing you, and how can we use these different techniques that we've learned today?
Hey, Gus. Sorry, I just arrived. He was crying, so
Oh, we
I'm
should have
with
got
him
we should
here.
have got the baby and the dog together to like sing a song.
Literally, he just stopped crying. You guys help me now. Say hello. Hey. Yeah, thank you. I was listening, and I will use one of the techniques in trying to mitigate the stress. And it's a different time for me in a few different ways.
I think one of the things to do with stress is that it's contagious. Like calm parents have calm kids. You see that with dogs as well. It's so crazy, isn't it? Also with the team. Like when there's a stressful moment, if Kat is calm and I'm calm, everyone else around us will be calm. And if Kat decides to stress, then I stress with her.
Ah,
Yeah, especially the two. Our backgrounds and nationalities will make it really hard. So it's so important to like take a step back before you react. And that's what I always think. Every time there's a stressful moment, I'm like, what's the point of overreacting? And then you lose the way of thinking and people stop trusting you as well. So it's so important to have control over
yeah.
our stress and how we
Paula, what I like
act.
about you is you have a great mind of problem solving. So every time there is a problem, you come up always with a creative solution. And I'm like, wow, like sometimes I get stressed and then Paula comes as an angel. Kara, don't worry, we do this. Okay, that's it. And then I think, why I had to stress all the morning? Then I should have just looked for the solution and that's it. And I'm just, wow, I want to be like Paula.
I think it's very aligned to what Ush is saying. Like, I
Yeah.
want to understand that stress and excitement is the same thing. So, stress excites me and it gets me to do more.
Mm-hmm.
So, I stress if I'm not stressed. If I'm not stressing, the day
That's
I'm
because, but you
stressed.
know why? It's because you thrive on being busy.
Yes.
So
It's not
when
even
you're
busy, it's about getting things
productiveness, yeah,
done.
about doing that
Like,
doing energy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So when you're not in doing energy, you're like, why? Why am I not doing? Why am I not creating?
Exactly. Yeah. And everyone's got their own little ways. Like I see like my mom stresses a lot and every time her stress, they're kind of like little alarm bells that just go, okay, if mom's stressing, I'm not going to stress, but maybe let me listen to 10% of it and maybe realize that maybe there is a risk in doing this. I think it's important also for us to listen to everybody's stress, but understand that we as leaders, our team will mirror. And this is why with chaotic stresses, I need to be an example to come and just go, that's okay, let me do it. Or let me teach you how I've done it. Or if we've made a mistake, it doesn't matter. We've learned from it. Next step. Mr. Rudy, how do you keep yourself so chilled through all of these investor pitches and hackathon pitches? You're always so chilled, at least on the outside. What's your technique?
At least on the outside.
On the outside, yeah.
Recently, I think I've been meditating a little bit. Like I hear some YouTube videos of guided meditation, and it can be like only like 5 minutes. It helps a lot. It's a big impact. And yeah, like this past week, I pitched on the Global Entrepreneurship World Cup, which is like over 1,000 participants all over the world. And yeah, it was really stressful because the deadline started to get really close and I didn't have time, but I did send it in. And yeah, I think it's about trying to stay calm. And for me, a big one is meditating.
I think deadline's an interesting one, and it just shows the power of our brain. Like most people, if they have a deadline, they'll leave it to the very last minute.
Yeah.
And then it just increases your stress, reduces your productivity, and you just don't think straight. So what I love doing is as soon as I've got a deadline, I do it straight away so that I can focus and clear my mind for something else. Because I know that if I leave to the last minute, you're not productive until the very last minute, and it's affected your flow, your happiness, your balance, for everything from that moment until there. So I always get done. I just get it done on the spot. And I remember, like, I don't know, when I was going to university, something we'd be doing like 4 weeks and everybody would wait until midnight on the 4th week.
Yeah.
And I just straight away smash it, get it done. And then I go on holidays to Byron Bay. So every assessment week, everyone will be so stressed, and I'll be in Byron sun tanning because I'd submitted everything 2 weeks in advance. And yeah, so just and even deadline, it's all here. Like, why are you stressing for the deadline? Why do you have to wait until the last minute? And why are you stressing? You're not running from a lion. Like, and even if you are, like, I've been on safaris and there's an animal, and the chance of it killing you is very little. So just chill.
Yeah, some people do like to work under pressure, but I'm not like really in love with that of having too much procrastination. But I think some people do work and are efficient that way. So it depends on an entrepreneur or a person.
Yeah. And that goes back to what we've been speaking for 4 weeks, which is the whole self-awareness, which is what you were talking about, how you're very productive in the evening. Some people are very productive in the morning, some people are productive after the yoga or after the run. So it's important for us as entrepreneurs to see what puts you through the state of flow. And yes, we work as a team, but you also have to take some time for yourself to go, this is the time that I'm most productive to do this or that. And then just organize your lifestyle around putting these little things that contribute to your calmness, whether it is listening to a meditation app or journaling or going for a run. And I find that from time to time, at least with my body, I get used to different things. So you kind of like need a new challenge. So sometimes running really works, and then suddenly it's yoga that will be more powerful. So I think, yeah, it's just taking the little time to check in, and journaling is one of the best tools ever.
It is. It makes such a difference, like I said, to just get it out of your head, and you automatically feel better.
Yeah. And I still, my favorite learning of the year has come from these beautiful words of yours of every time we're stressed, we've got anxiety, just stop writing everything you're grateful for, because your brain just calms you down. Like, honestly, that has changed not just my life, but everybody's lives around us, because it's just so simple and so powerful. And it just shows the power of the brain, how we can control anything by just distracting with positivity or a checklist of things you're grateful for.
Exactly. It just totally lifts it.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Like, why do you think meditation is like super important to calm yourself? Like,
yeah, so look, there's a myth that, when you meditate, you're meant to have an empty mind. Not always. So when you're first starting to meditate, your brain will go and think things, and what you're doing is you're bringing it back to center. So when you're trying to bring your thoughts back to center, you're not able to stress because your mind is actively working on bringing your thoughts back to center. So the more you practice it and the more you bring your thoughts back to neutral to raise your emotions, the less stress you feel. So it's basically just impacting your nervous system.
Yeah, like I've heard that, like in the really profound brain, like of a human being, like as a human being, you don't know how to differentiate yourself like from from the realistic stuff and from the thing that you imagine. Is that true? Like
It
like
is
deep down in your brain, like you don't know what, like your brain doesn't know how to differentiate your how you visualize stuff and the actual stuff.
100%. Yeah. So even when you feel stressed, your brain and body doesn't know that it's a real situation or not a real situation. So when we worry about something or we stress about something, the impact on our body physically is the same as if it had happened. Yeah. So the more that you're able to go into the mindfulness state and you lower your nervous system, you calm your nervous system down, the more it's going to help you with stress. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to meditate for 60 minutes a day and sit in a certain
Yeah.
pose and not have any other thoughts. It can literally be as simple as doing a walking meditation. So for people that can't meditate, I always say do a walking meditation, go for a walk, put on some mindfulness music and put on some affirmations, and even that alone will help shift your state, raise your vibration, and raise your energy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
One thing that I love doing, I love seeing the beauty in the little things. So when I need to go for a run to just calm down, I just, like, I sometimes have a checklist, like I need to find 10 beautiful little things, and it'll be like the flower, the birds, the butterfly, just little things that you can distract, and you can see the beauty in things, and you just end up becoming grateful, and then it calms you as well. And I find wasting energy running and swimming as well, so powerful. Cool, guys. So thanks for joining us in such an
Thank you,
important topic
everyone.
and important session. Thank you, Ush, for these amazing 4 weeks together with us. We are so grateful. Less stressed, more motivated, more emotionally intelligent. Thank you so much for sharing all of this beautiful knowledge with us. We feel so much better for having you in our community, for sharing your skills and sharing so many techniques as well that are super working for us. So
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much,
Yeah.
guys.
Big hugs and lots of love. We look forward to having
Yeah.
you many more series with us. Thank you. Bye, guys.